First, we got an NFL story involving Jack Del Rio, coach with the Washington football team. Rob G.
You mean the Washington Commanders,
right? I've been saying that for a couple of years now. I'm so used to it. But with the Washington Commanders, Rob G., we got sound. He tweeted out basically complaining about all the – yeah, go ahead and read the tweet, Rob G.
So Monday night he tweeted in response to a post about the upcoming hearings on the January 6th insurrection. Here's what he said. Would love to understand, quote, the whole story about why the summer of riots, looting, burning, and the destruction of personal property is never discussed, but this is #common sense. So obviously he was asked about it earlier on Wednesday by the media. Here's what his response.
Let's get right down to it. What did I ask? A simple question. Because it's kind of hard for me to say. I can realistically look at it. I see the images on TV. People's livelihoods are being destroyed. Businesses are being burned down. No problem. And then we have a dust-up at the Capitol. Well, there's nothing burned down. And we're not going to talk about it. We're going to make that a major deal.
I got to say this. Well, first,
please,
I guess he did come. Well, he did come out and apologize, Rob. So let's get to that part, and then we'll say something.
Yeah, he apologized in a post on Twitter late on Wednesday evening. Said, I made comments earlier today in reference to the attack that took place on the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. Referencing that situation as a dust-up was irresponsible and negligent, and I am sorry. And he goes on further, but that's what he said.
All right, here's my thing, Rob. And look, if he wants to talk about personal property being destroyed and all that, I mean, okay, fine, that's legitimate. But to call January 6th a dust-up, that is an attack on the United States of America.
And our democracy, Chris.
Right, it's the Capitol. And as bad as it is that personal businesses have been destroyed and things like that, that's not the U.S. government. And that's the thing, Rob. I don't know what people aren't getting, those that think like Del Rio. A dust-up? And I'm going to say this,
Chris,
Rob.
do you remember the senators under the desk and under their chairs? And
they didn't know at the time that nobody was going to get shot?
Right. Had no idea.
And I'm going to say this, Rob. If that had been black people rolling up into a government building, bum rushing it like that, climbing up the sides, going through windows, it would have been I'm convinced it would have been a bloodbath.
I am convinced. I don't doubt it either, because they would have been mowed down before they even got close.
It would have been viewed as it's an attack on the country. And that's what it was. And I'm glad people weren't shot, but I want justice to be served.
Right.
And that's my issue. Like, look, he brings up a point about the, riots or marches that went awry and things were burned, and that's fair. But my point is to call those are separate discussions.
Right.
To say this is a dust up,
Chris,
that just come on, man. That's ridiculous.
And you see how glib he was and how he had his chest stuck out. You could just hear it in the conversation.
Yep.
But then, of course, he came back because he realized I need to keep my gig, and they told me you better apologize. And why would you downplay such a thing when our democracy was on? Chris, we've had presidents win and exchange of power with no incidents in this country. Am I right? Over and over. The other side loses and people go, okay, we're giving up the White House. Here's the new president coming in and whatever. And then all of a sudden, a certain president loses and now you want to storm the Capitol. And you want to destroy, break down the democracy. And then Jack Del Rio is going to make it as if it's no big deal and a joke. I mean, how embarrassing is that? I'm telling you, if I'm the Washington Commanders, I would let him go. I would fire him. Because, Chris, you represent the Washington Commanders. It ain't just you and what you can say whatever you want. I mean, it's an embarrassing thing.
I don't know if he has to be fired.
I'm just saying.
It's a ridiculous statement. People gonna have differences of opinion, and that's one of the problems in this country right now. A husband and wife have differences of opinion. People are going to have differences of opinion, and we have to understand we're a pluralistic country. And people are going to disagree about religion. They're going to disagree about sexuality. They're going to disagree about all sorts of things, politics, on and on. And we're trying to make everybody agree on every little thing. That ain't going to happen. And so he can say what he wants. I don't believe his apology, but he's been forced to apologize. If it's not a problem in the locker room, which players are saying it's not, then fine. If they want to fire him, fine. I'm just saying I don't think you can fire everybody for having a difference of opinion.
You don't have to fire people.
My thing is, this is an idiotic statement to call it a dust-up.
And I don't know that
it's a fireable offense.
I'm not saying that, but you do represent people who you work for. That's all I'm saying. And you could look at it in that standpoint. That's all. I'm not as a private citizen, he has a right to say whatever he wants. But when he does make those statements, he does represent an organization. And there are people,
even among leaders, though, you're going to have differences of opinion.
I get that, but you also, when you're out there and you represent other people, it happens every day where people say, no, you can't represent my company. That's not what we're about.
But
I don't
sometimes
care.
it
I don't care what
shouldn't. Just because they were fired don't mean they should be.
Well,
just because the public sentiment is going, and again, in this case, he's flat out wrong. I don't want to come off like I'm defending him.
No, I know you're not. But
I don't believe every person that represents a company, this aside from him and aside from this statement, every person that represents a company, I don't think should have to be politically correct.
It's not about being politically correct. You can have your
represent a freaking company or not.
No. See, I disagree from the standpoint
disagree all you want. But whether you are an individual, you can have your beliefs.
No, you can have your beliefs, but not when you represent Chris. He didn't do that at home.
Wrong.
He talked to the reporters on that with that Washington.
I ain't talking about him anymore. I'm just saying
in his situation.
I don't even want to come off like I'm defending him, calling that a dust up. I'm just saying people are going to have different beliefs. And even publicly, they should be able to state they're different. But then they get fired for having them? Don't tell me you can have your beliefs. If you're going to get fired for having them.
No, but you can have your beliefs.
That's what happened to Colin Kaepernick.
But he
should be able to have his belief.
You can have your beliefs.
And he should have been able to stay employed in the NFL because he had a different belief.
Yeah, 100%. But there are other situations where people don't represent companies and they don't want that attached to them. What company?
Is that fair?
He wasn't what you call it.
Don't tell me you think Kaepernick was done wrong then. He represents the San Francisco 49ers and he represented the NFL. And some people didn't like him not being politically correct, so he got fired.
That's not politically correct that he had a peaceful protest. How is that politically correct? What is politically incorrect?
I'm saying that's what I'm saying.
What was politically incorrect?
Will you listen? Will you listen? I said people didn't like the fact that he was not politically correct. He was politically incorrect in kneeling against the national anthem and speaking out, or during the national anthem, and speaking out against police brutality. And because the people in power didn't like his viewpoint, they fired him. So if you think everybody that represents an organization,
I didn't say everybody, but I just said that
you're talking out of both sides of your mouth.
No, I'm not. There were situations. If I had a guy who was hold on, listen to me. If you represented my company and you went out there and you said stuff that I don't believe in, and I don't want people to be attached to that with my company, I could have a right to say I don't want you to be a part of my company, and you won't represent my company. I do have that right. So then Colin Kaepernick didn't break any laws. NFL owners as a whole.
Del Rio.
NFL. So why did
break a law?
Why did Donald Sterling get forced to sell his team,
don't
Chris?
Run from this.
No, I'm asking you. Why did Donald Sterling? Ask me that.
I'm gonna address.
Answer my question.
No, I'm not answering your question.
Yeah, because you don't have an answer.
Rob, it's irrelevant to the discussion we're having.
Donald Sterling didn't break any laws, and he was forced to sell his team because he didn't represent the NBA, and they're not going to have it. You know I'm right.
You can yell all you want to try to save face.
I'm not saving
But you
face.
have been
You're
twisted
talking
up like a.
No, you're not. You're not talking.
Go ahead. When you're done, I'll speak.
Go ahead. Answer the Donald Sterling question because you can't answer it.
Here's what I'm going to answer. You said, if I run a company, no, let me finish. If I run a company and someone who represents my company does something or makes a statement that I don't agree with and I don't want associated with my company, then I can fire him. Colin Kaepernick made a statement that the owners of the NFL did not agree with, and they fired him. I'm saying they're wrong. You're saying they were right. That's all I'm saying. You're talking out of both sides
now
of your
answer
mouth,
my
Rob
question
Parker,
about Donald. Answer my question about Donald Sterling.
I'm not going out on no tangent like you said.
Answer my question.
I'm not.
What happened to Donald Sterling? I'm asking you because you have no answer. I didn't get caught.
877.
You don't have no answer. And everybody listening knows Chris Broussard is talking out of both sides of his mouth because I don't remember you coming to bat for Donald Sterling. I don't remember that tape, Chris. Let's play the tape. You should have been standing up and furious that Donald Sterling was forced to sell his team. I didn't hear a peep from you. So you're the one talking out of both sides of your mouth, trying to be self-righteous. You're crazy.
You can yell all you want.
Where's your Donald Sterling tape?
You can yell.
Chris was like, the commissioner, LeBron, and the players did right. He can't say that stuff. Where is your tape, Chris?
Rob,
I'll scour the tapes.
Stop being childish. Stop being childish. All right? You're mimicking voices, going off on tangents. You said if you own a team and someone makes a statement you don't like, you can fire them. That represents the organization. I said, well, I disagree. Colin Kaepernick made a statement that the ownership of the NFL didn't agree with, and they fired him, and that was wrong. And you said it was wrong. And now you're saying, nah, but you can do that. So this is on you. Don't try to turn this on me.